Welcome to July's episode of Radnor 411. I'm Ashley Sotelo, and I'll be your host. Today I'll let you know how you can keep your kids busy during these summer days and how our community development department is trying to save you some money. But first, if you own your own company here in Radnor, you might want to stick around while we head to Bill Martin, who will let you know about a tax deadline that is fast approaching.
Welcome to the July edition of the Administration Department's update for the Radnor 411. My name is Bill Martin. I'm the Assistant Township Manager. Just going to go over a few things that happened this past month in the administration area of the Township and give you an update on a reminder of the local services tax filing deadline coming up as well. A couple things that happened last month that might be useful to know is we confirmed Steve Norsini as our new Public Works Director at the May 23rd Board of Commissioners meeting. He started work with the Township in June, and we look forward to having him continue to work with the Township in the future. He's a great addition to our staff. Also, we announced Serve PA. It's an initiative by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania looking for volunteers with medical or other backgrounds that would be able to be called upon in the event of an emergency. You basically will sign up through a website and offer your services as a volunteer. If you do volunteer, a couple things: you don't necessarily have to appear if you're called upon. It's just to create a database for each county of people who are willing to serve in the event of an emergency declared by the state. And if you could do that, we'd greatly appreciate it. Delaware County is looking for about 400 volunteers. If you're interested and want to find more about this program, please go to servpa.gov. It's serv.pa.gov. They can have more information about that topic as well. The Board of Commissioners also appointed the Charter Review Commission. They had their first meeting in June. They will continue to move forward and review the charter with the hopes to have something ready for the voters in the November 2012 election time. We also entered into an community municipal energy efficiency grant application with the county. We're applying to hopefully find some funds to continue our LED replacement program on our traffic lights to replace the LED amber lights in our traffic lights. So hopefully we'll have some success there as well. Also, we had the Agnes Irwin lease introduction in June. That'll be moved forward in May, and we'll have some resolution to that as we move forward in the next coming months. And finally, we have continued vacancies on a number of different boards. The board has started an interviewing process, but we hope you'll continue to keep listening to our broadcasts on our Radnor channels and our website for any other openings, and we always look for volunteers throughout the community. At this moment, we have openings on the Garrett Hill Implementation Committee, the Ethics Board, and the Board of Health. So please keep those resumes coming. If you're interested, send them to the Township Manager, Robert Zinkowski, and we'll hopefully find a spot for you on one of our boards. Finally, in July, at the end of July 30th, is the second quarter filing for the local services tax. If you own your own business, or if you have any employees, or you're a member of a partnership or LLC, a company located in Radnor Township, that second quarter filing is due to be postmarked and mailed to us by July 30th, and that'll be the second quarter filing for 2011. Again, if you need any information on that, you can contact me at my office or go to our website, radnor.com, under the Finance Department. Thanks, and we'll see you next month.
If you attended this year's Mainline Jazz and Food Festival, you probably snacked a little bit on the food. We went out with Larry Taltoon, our health officer, to make sure that this food was just right for you to eat.
Hi, my name is Larry Taltoon, and I'm the health officer for Radnor Township. What we have the opportunity to look at today is 2011 Mainline Jazz and Food Festival. I'd just like to make you aware of some of the precautions that we take as far as food safety when we have these events. The first thing that I want to bring and make you aware of is that every vendor must fill out a temporary event form. That form tells me what they're going to serve, how they're going to serve it, how they're supposed to keep things hot, how they're going to keep things cold, who is going to oversee that operation, and on the day of the event I come out to verify that what they've told me in fact is what's happening. Outside vendors are required to provide a copy of their current food license from the jurisdiction in which they operate. They're also required to provide a copy of their most recent food safety inspection report. The other thing that are required is that on the day of the event, every food stand that participates must have a certified food safety professional on site that day. During the inspection, I look for several things. I want to know who's going to be handling money, who's going to be handling food, where trash will be disposed of in each particular stand, Another thing that we look at is many people think that when we have these type of events that because there's outdoor dining, that it is okay to have your pets dine with you. That is not the case. Pennsylvania Food Code strictly prohibits that, with the exception of service animals. Also important is that just as it's important for the food facility operators and those people who are serving food to be able to wash and keep their hands clean, it's important that patrons and visitors who participate and come to these events have facilities that are clean, safe, and supplied so that they can be able to use the facilities and wash their hands. What we require is that they demonstrate to us that they have adequate temporary toilet facilities, that they're clean, that they're able to be locked and secured while the person is utilizing those services. So we make sure that we have those facilities there. It has been a pleasure to be the health officer for Radnor Township, and I look to see you at future temporary events and promote food safety. Thank you.
Up next, we'll hear from Bill White in our finance department.
Here's what's going on for the finance department for the month of July. A lot of this, if you're a regular viewer, a lot of this may sound familiar because a lot of the projects we have either are cyclical or take multiple months to get wrapped up. So, but if you're a new viewer, someone who's never seen the Radnor 411 before, here are some of the major items that are going on for finance department for July. We are wrapping up finally our 2010 audit and 2010 audited financial statement project. Admittedly, that is roughly, we're about 2 to 3 months behind where I think we'll be next year in this process. Unfortunately, when the time came early this year to put a lot of the work papers together and prepare all the journal entries to put the accruals onto the system, we ran into some issues with documentation, having to find things, figuring out what type of entries and what type of work papers were done in the prior year that may have to be reversed out. So we ran into a lot of issues there in just getting the township's trial balance in a position that we can move forward with the project. So, but now we're past that. We're wrapping this project up now. We've implemented or we've improved our accounting system, our accounting policies, so that a year from now we'll be in a much better position to get this project done faster. Because I mean, the sooner you can get these kind of statements done and out, the more relevant they are. I mean, it's tough to sit here in July and maybe even August before we have the actual final operating statements, the balance sheet, the operating statement, the cash flows, and all that. Before we have all that done, 7-8 months into the year, it loses some of its relevancy because all the information is for 2010. So we will work to improve that in 2012. Along those same lines, one of the other projects that I've been working on is to improve our monthly budget versus actual information. As requested by the commissioners, we have taken our annual budget, which was prepared on an annual basis. And what I mean by that is when we talked about, say, wages or payroll, we looked at it as a total number for all 12 months. But what we've done over the last couple months is we've taken this year's budget and actually broke it down into 12 monthly increments. So, and the purpose of that is so we can analyze on a monthly activity that particular month versus what we thought was going to happen, as well as a year-to-date analysis that says, okay, well, we're at this point this year versus our budget. How are we doing in prior years? So we're able to just take a look at the information a little bit more in depth, and hopefully that'll allow us to find discrepancies or things that need to be addressed a little bit faster than they would have otherwise, or even be able to identify extraordinary things that should be analyzed or at least should be brought up and discussed. And those could go either way. They could be items that are not so good that maybe we need to make some decisions on, or do some sort of reaction to, or they could be things that are good. For example, maybe the real estate transfer taxes are doing much better than we thought. Therefore, we're going to amend our estimate for the year, and those kind of things. So it's just a better level of reporting to have that information. So we're finalizing that now, hopefully with the June monthly report, which will be submitted here this month in July. We'll have that updated level in there. So looking forward to getting that done and getting that up and rolling on a monthly basis. Being that this is July, we are working quickly on putting together the 2012 preliminary budget. We're hoping to get that done this summer so that we can get it to the commissioners and have lengthen the amount of time that they have to digest the information, which will allow more public time when it comes for open discussions and public comment about the 2012 budget. I've reported in the past, and I continue to be hopeful to be able to incorporate some sort of multiple year forecast in with the 2012 budget that'll at least in summary show what the trends are looking like beyond 12, so for 13, 14, 15. So we're still working on that as well. It's just, with me being relatively new to the township and the amount of time it's taking to get a comfort level with what the variables are that drive the different costs. It seems that each one kind of has their own little nuance. So prior to putting together a forecast and then realizing after it's out that some of the assumptions were a little bit off or inaccurately assigned, is just kind of taking a step back and saying, okay, well, let's do a better job of analyzing what those assumptions are prior to submitting the report for the first time. So I'm still hopeful to include that with the 2012 budget because I think it'll add value to the discussion. But at the same time, I don't want to put something together that may be misleading or may have major adjustments down the road. So that's where that project stands. The Citizens Audit Review and Financial Advisory Committee, that was a committee that was officially formed by the board earlier this year. The members have been appointed, and we are actually in the process of meeting now. They're involved with the audit, the 2010 audit review. They will hear directly from the auditors the findings, the major issues, if there are any that need to be reported, and then all the smaller issues as well, some of the non-material issues. Certainly hoping that there aren't any material ones, but at any rate, the audit company, the audit firm, will meet directly with the Citizens Audit Review Committee, and we'll have those discussions together. In addition to that, we're also talking with the Audit Review Committee, the Citizens Audit Review Committee, to determine and get an idea, a sense of what they want their role to be in working with the administration. Some of the major items that I've already discussed in this segment might fall in line with something that they may want to look at first. For example, the forecasting. Perhaps they take a look at those assumptions before the forecast is built, so that just another layer of review. And based on the members of the committee, I think that review will add a lot of value because they've got real-world experience, private sector experience, where the perspectives are a lot different. So we can make sure that look at it as many different ways as possible, just to make sure that they're accurate in the end, which is the ultimate goal. So those are the major projects going on still here in July. We've got some internal projects. I reported in the past that we're improving our purchasing process. We went live at the beginning of this month, so we are now in the learning curve and trying to determine exactly what improvements are needed. Departments are getting used to entering the information directly into the system. On the finance side, we're trying to evaluate the accuracy of the information that we're getting from the system. And again, the project is to automate the purchase order process so that as soon as a purchase order is entered into the system, it's real time. It hits the expense ledgers immediately, so that we can determine not only what has been spent, but now what has been authorized to be spent, to give us a better feel on how we're doing on the expense side of the ledger. So that project's now live, and hopefully things are running smoothly. Another project that we're going to start doing, and this is in conjunction with the 12 budget, is a more thorough departmental costing. Right now there's a lot of costs that are overhead type of costs that are that could be directly allocated back to the departments, but aren't. They're currently aggregated together into their own single line item. And a good example is health benefits for the employees. Right now, that is aggregated in its own expenditure line, even though, say for finance, there's a portion of those health benefits that are the direct costs of the finance department. The same with the police department and with public works. And so what I'm hoping to do is get those aggregated expenditures broken out and allocated correctly back to the different departments. And the goal there is so that we have a much better feel when we print our expenditure reports of how much each department actually costs. So that's more of a management tool versus anything else. It's just to be able to give us another quick review of how things are going at a departmental level. And then finally, we continue to work on policy implementation and development. We've got a debt policy, looking at reviewing the balanced budget and minimum cash balance reserve policies, as well as implementing a purchasing manual and a revenue and cash receipting policy. So those are in the works right now, and again, those are really just to add that level of management to make sure that not only do each individual employee know how certain things are to be treated, but at the same time the stakeholders understand how things should be working. It'll help drive decision making at all levels of the organization. So the policies should add value in that regard. Ultimately, though, each of those policies will come before the Board of Commissioners. There will be public debate, comment on those before they're adopted. So the public will definitely have input, or at least have an opportunity to review those. And that's it. Those are the major items going on here in July. As always, there's a lot going on in terms of day-to-day that I don't get into in this show. But if you ever have any questions, please feel free to contact me via the website or give me a call here at the Township building. Thank you very much, and I will see you again next month.
You might have noticed the new police van that's been driving around town. We headed out to Sergeant Smith, who let us know what's been going on in the police department.
Hello, my name is George Smith. I'm a sergeant with Radnor Township Police, currently supervising the Traffic Safety Unit. Today I'm here to talk about the Motor Carrier Safety Assistance Program, or MCSAP. It provides financial assistance to states to reduce the number and severity of accidents involving commercial vehicles. The goal of this program is to reduce accidents, fatalities, and injuries involving commercial motor vehicles through consistent, uniform, and effective safety programs. MCSAP has been an extremely successful commercial vehicle enforcement program since 1988 and has been responsible for saving thousands of lives and preventing tens of thousands of injuries. The MCSAP program is a law enforcement-based commercial driver vehicle inspection program utilizing the North American Standard Level 1 inspection procedure, which emphasize the following objectives. It removes potentially unsafe drivers and imminent hazardous vehicles from the highway. It directs attention to the provisions